We're talking food again here on the Beach Channel. I'm Randy Kassewitz, and we are here with Fat Ronnie from Fat Ronnie's Burger Bar. His real name is Ronnie Faust, but I guess everyone knows you as Fat Ronnie.
Correct.
Let's talk about the name first, because most people wouldn't like to be referred to as fat, and to be honest, you're not really fat.
So I used to tell the story that I was 500 pounds, and then I used to eat a burger every day. That's how I lost the weight. But there was someone else who had that story with another franchise, and he's in prison now for another thing. So we had to change that story, that joke. Anyway, so Fat Ronnie, I'm actually Little Ronnie. Fat Ronnie's my father, and yes, he was fat, in case you were wondering. So, but they called him Fat Ronnie, and I was Little Ronnie. But when I was opening up my first Fat Ronnie's, originally I was going to call it Little Ronnie, but I'm like, it's a burger place, it's kind of, Fat Ronnie's would be more apropos. So that's what I did. And, my mother was like, don't do it. Your father's going to get mad, and then, but anyway, make a long story short, thus it's Fat Ronnie's.
And did your father get mad?
No, actually, it's funny because he didn't even know the name, and he walked by, and I just put the sign up. And he just looked up and he just started laughing, So yeah,
it worked out well. So
it worked out well.
So you're originally from New York. And...
Yep, born and raised in New York, and went to the Vineyard. We were summer kids in the Vineyard, actually. So if you know the Vineyard,
talking about Martha's Vineyard.
Martha's Vineyard, correct? Yeah. If you know the Vineyard, I mean, you've got families that have been there for generations and generations, and my family is one of those. So my grandmother first went to the Vineyard in the 1950s, and thus my father was a kid growing up there in the summer, and then I was the same way. I've been going since I was an embryo.
So there was a rhyme and reason to going to Martha's Vineyard, because it's not exactly the kind of place that somebody from New York just hey, I want to open up a burger bar. Let's go to Martha's Vineyard.
Right, exactly.
There's some rhyme or reason to all this.
Yeah, and to be honest, the Vineyard is like a safe spot to open. If you're opening a business for the first time, believe it or not, the Vineyard is a safe spot, only because it gives you time to make mistakes. The season's short, but in that time period, you get to make adjustments, and then you get the winter where, I'm closed in the winter. Most businesses are there. And so you get that winter to sort of regroup, rethink, and then come back the next summer with, your corrections. And then, then you get the foot traffic and the word of mouth. And so all of it is sort of comes, it's a great place to start a business.
So you got two locations now, Martha's Vineyard and Miami Beach. We'll get to that in a second. But why the restaurant business? Was your family in the restaurant business growing up?
Right, exactly. So my grandmother was the first female union butcher in the country. Moreover, she was the first female black butcher in the country. And if you could look back in the 1950s and 60s, 70s, it was all men. There weren't any females. So the fact that she became a union butcher and the first female, and if you she was this 4 foot, maybe 1 inch woman. So this little stout woman who carried a big stick, because you had to be dominating in that in order to be a female in that industry. So that says a lot for her, And so I grew up working first at the butcher shop, and then working at my grandmother's restaurant when she opened up her own place, which was called Maxine's. But if you talk to any kid who grew up in the restaurant business and say, what do you want to do when you grow up? I'm 100% sure they're all going to say, I'm not sure, but definitely not the restaurant.
Yeah.
Definitely not the restaurant business,
But you did.
But I did.
And I have a 16-year-old son. I'm in the restaurant business as well. I got a 16-year-old son, and he's getting ready to go to college in a year and a half. And I'm like, you have any idea what you want to do one day? I want to get in the restaurant business. So I think, it's a lot of work. We know it's a competitive industry. But I think from the outsider looking in, it seems like everybody wants to open a restaurant. It looks easy on the outside. Yours is family owned versus, one of these corporate chains. Talk to me a little bit about something pulled you into the business.
Well, so you have to backtrack a little bit, because actually coming out of college, I didn't go in the restaurant business. In fact, I opened up a health club, and I owned a health club for 20 years. And then I got a divorce.
Different kind of meat market.
Actually, yes. Maybe a better meat. Who knows? Yeah. But anyway, so I got into the health club business, and then once I got a divorce, I was like, I wanted to sort of reinvent the second phase of my life, but I couldn't think of anything, and I kept going back to the restaurant. But for me, it was like I knew the hard work it took. I'm divorced, but I'm married, and I'm married to Fat Ronnie's burger bar.
All right.
So
I'm going to fast forward for a minute here.
Yeah.
So Martha's Vineyard, summer times, lots of fun. It's a party atmosphere, closed in the winter, and then you decide Miami Beach. They don't seem to coexist.
But they actually do.
Okay.
So and one of the reasons why they do is because they're opposite seasons. So I'm open on the vineyard from May to Columbus Day in October. And that's when things are pretty much dead here, or they slow down here. And then the opposite season, then in the wintertime, I'm here, which is our high season. So for me, it works out perfectly. In addition to that, I had been coming here, for literally decades. In fact, the first time I came here was, I was 19. No, excuse me, I was 20. And that's when a friend of mine, we were walking on Ocean Drive, and there was just these old little hotel with Jewish guys with Noxzema on their nose.
Yep.
And you don't see that anymore. So that tells you how far back. And I had been coming literally every winter since then. Sometimes a week, sometimes a month, sometimes a little bit longer. And so I had a feel for the beach, In fact, one of the places that I kind of looked at in the beginning is maybe going to Midtown, maybe to, but I'm a beach guy, and I like the beach. Yeah.
Difference in clientele between the Martha's Vineyard crowd and this South Beach crowd. Tell me a little bit about the difference in crowd and how you deal with the different personalities down here.
I can sum that up in basically one sentence. And I don't mean this disrespectfully, but in Miami Beach, people want combo meals, and on the vineyard, people don't know what combo meals are, And so I think that's the biggest difference I have there. I don't have to, discount my product. I don't have to, upsell. On the vineyard, people come in and they're, let me get a burger for my wife. I'll take another burger for me. Give me a $32 lobster roll for my 6-year-old, son. It's that kind of thing. In Miami, at least on the beach, has been a little bit, let me get a burger and cut it in half. So it's a little bit different. But as far as the clientele itself, they're both great. And I'm going to tell you why. Because the vineyard is small community. Everyone, even in the summertime, people that come back every summer, it's the same people again and again and again and again. So you really get to know your clientele. And here where I'm located on Lincoln Road, I'm on the west side of Lincoln Road between West Ave and Alton. And that's all residential.
And that area, by the way, I drive by there at least 3 times a week. That whole area where you are has just exploded. It is going to be the next Sunset Harbor district.
Yeah, and it is, but they're going to rip up the road and put all new sewer pipes. That's a 2-year construction project. So I'm not sure, how it's going to look in the next 2 years, but after that, it's going to be a great.
Let's get to the burgers. Yeah. You got Fat Ronnie's Burger Bar. I'm looking at some pictures. I see the burgers lined up there. I see it. It doesn't look like McDonald's or Burger King inside. How did you come up with the burger bar concept, and what makes you so different? Because I could probably name 50 places on Ocean Drive and Washington Avenue and Lincoln Road that you can get a burger. Tell us why Fat Ronnie's Burger.
Well, so one of the reasons why I opened up Fat Ronnie's, because I couldn't find a spot where you can get a gourmet burger, a luxury burger, in sort of a quick service atmosphere. You know, if you go, you're thinking about Shake Shack, Burger King, Five Guys, but that's not us. So we do an 8 ounce Black Angus prime cut, never frozen burger. We have a special bun that's made for us. And then, as you know, it's a create your own. So it's similar like if you would go to Chipotle Grill where you go down the line and say, okay, and for us, you can get everything from pineapple, guacamole, corn. I mean, it's endless. There's over 32 different toppings. So, and how I came up with that idea, because my grandmother, her restaurant in New York was basically a burger bar. And since she was a butcher, we used to have to go in the walk-in every day. We put the beef in the grinder, then we put it in the patty machine and make the patties, So, and we used a prime cut of beef. When I was thinking about opening up the burger bar, I wanted to use that same quality of meat, but just put a modern day twist on it. And then obviously everything now is sort of gearing towards that fast casual, create your own. And so that was the combination.
I'm looking at the pictures. I mean, that is not McDonald's. That is not Burger King.
No, and that photo is actually, it's not touched up. It's a regular product. It looks a little small in the picture, but it's a big burger. It was an 8 ounce, like I say, and we don't have a patty machine. We don't pre-patty, so it's a good cut.
In addition to burgers, you have varied the menu a little bit for those that are not red meat eaters. I know you have chicken wings and chicken sandwiches as well. Are those unique as like the burger?
Correct. So touching on the burger part of it too. So if you don't eat beef, we have veggie burgers, and we make them in house. We have a black bean sweet potato. We have a quinoa cauliflower.
Wow. So you definitely have you've definitely created a restaurant to handle the bikini wearing women and men. South Beach.
Well, the funny thing about it is, on the Vineyard, even though we're 10 times as busy, we sell 10 times more veggie burgers here than we do there.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, but that was just for the health conscious, consumer. We also here, which is different than our location on the Vineyard, is we have a salad bar. So we have 4 different in-house salads, a Thai, a Caesar, Thai, the Caesar, Cobb salad.
Wow.
And then, so if you say, listen, I'm not into a burger, I want something on the lighter side, then we have those options.
So you can accommodate everybody. What are we looking at here? Because I'm looking at these, it looks like a children's paint class right there.
Yeah. Well, that's our chicken wings, and we use a whole wing, and all of our chicken we brine, and that's so it's marinated, overnight, at least over 24 hours, and then I forget how many sauces we have, but I think it's like 10 different options you have for sauces and stuff.
So that's amazing. So you do that, and are your wings really good?
Well, listen, you're talking to Ronnie himself, so everything on the menu is good. But I always tell people, when people come in and they ask me, like, so what's your favorite? What, honestly, and I'm not lying, like everything on the menu's good, because it's a small menu. It's not like you're reading like 5 different charts. It's a small menu because I only do the things I know how to do well, and that's that.
But if there was one thing, if I'm an out of towner watching right now, and I'm heading to Fat Ronnie's for lunch because I've seen these amazing pictures and the stuff looks incredible, what's the one thing, the go-to item on there? If you could only have one meal, what would you have?
The burger, lop, fish, chick sandwich.
Burger, lob, fish, chick sandwich. That's a very politically correct answer.
Yeah, exactly.
I understand. But you mentioned lobster.
Yep,
Don't you have a lobster roll as well?
Right.
You brought some Massachusetts to Florida.
Listen, I had to. So on the Vineyard, we won Best Lobster Roll. So I had to bring that product here. And not only that, in Miami Beach, there are a lot of people from the Northeast that come down, and New England lobster roll is totally different than South Floridian lobster roll. The lobster meat is different. Yep. We have our lobster meat shipped down once a week, and it's just a good product. And that is a half pound of lobster on a toasted brioche bun. It's just good. And we use just claw and knuckle. So just a little sort of education on lobster meat itself. So a lot of places use CKL, which is claw knuckle leg, and the leg is chewy and it's cheap. That's why they throw it as a filler. We just use claw knuckle, and that's the most tasty, buttery. Sorry, my mouth is just watering.
Yeah, I hear you. It looks good.
Yeah, it's the most tasty, most buttery part of the lobster, and that's all we use. And you can even see in the picture, it's all big chunks, and it's a half pound, because you can go to other places get CK and they just put 3 ounces on a lobster roll or whatever.
There's so many dining options on Miami Beach. Forget about the rest of the city. Just Miami Beach in particular. There's so many different options. How do they find you?
Well, that's what's been sort of challenging, and challenging because on my side of Lincoln Road, we don't have that much foot traffic on that end, so it's been more local. And one of the mistakes I made during the pandemic, if you don't know, we opened literally the day they shut everything down. So it was a rough beginning, but we're still here, know. And so one of the mistakes that I made in business was I didn't do delivery. So in the vineyard, we don't do delivery, and there's a line out the door every day, all day. Here, though, it's a different ball game. I didn't do delivery because the delivery companies were taking 33% of my money, and I was like,
That's all your profits.
It's all my profits. And not only that, we're 3,000 square feet, and basically I had a 3,000 square foot takeout place. So I was like, I can't afford to lose more money. And then if you had to be open in 2019 to get that free PPP money and all that kind of stuff, so that hurt even more. But those are one of the mistakes I made. So most people didn't even know we existed because they weren't walking the streets. You couldn't find me on Uber Eats. You couldn't find me on anything, DoorDash. So now we're starting to get that foot traffic. In fact, I probably should announce it because the ink is not completely dry on the deal, but we're trying to do a second location closer to the beach. And but that's a smaller footprint, and that's pretty much just a grab and go.
Absolutely.
And because if the beach is all tourists and where I'm at is all local, and I love both, and it'll be a great combination.
What do you think the secret to longevity is? Because everyone knows you got to have good food for longevity, but I think there's a little bit of luck involved, and there's a little bit more to it than just having good food, because there are a lot of places that have good food. You've been able to do that, and you've been able to do that through difficult times, which was after COVID. They were flocking down here. There was lots of business, but the vendor prices were also going up.
Right. Well, everything went up. That was the sad part. But I think it all starts with everyone will say the same thing. It is all about the product, because if you don't have the product, then I don't give a whatever. You could be in the busiest spot in the world, but without the quality product, then nothing else matters. But I think a combination of that, I think a combination of the hard work, and then you got to have a little bit of luck too, but the luck is created by that hard work. The door is open. I always sort of describe it as, the two of us could walk down the hallway. There'll be a door open to my right. I'll walk through it. You'll walk right by, Same door. We had access to the same door. You just went straight and I walked in the door. So I think part of that is it's the hard work, and it's just, persistence too,
So we're looking at some more burger pictures. And my question is, you go in there today for lunch, you haven't eaten breakfast, and you're really hungry. What kind of burger are you having? What are you putting on your burger?
That one. I'll be honest with you, because that's the caramelized onion, and that really is my favorite. So all of our burgers are the same burger. They just have different toppings. You can do onion, red pepper, and provolone, the caramelized onion, bacon cheddar. The bacon cheddar and the caramelized onion are probably our two top biggest sellers. But for me, I love the caramelized on a burger, so. Do
you see yourself continuing to expand? You mentioned a location near the beach, but you're in Martha's Vineyard, you're in Miami. Do you see a Fat Ronnie's in New York City, or Fat Ronnie's Wynwood or Design District possibly in the future?
Correct. So I franchised the company in 2022. I haven't actively tried to sell the units, just because I'm trying to get my footprint here first. And and I'd like to do New York myself. I've had, even in this past year, I've had about a dozen people wanting to do a franchise in New York, but I'm from New York, so I want to do the first one. Yeah. But we are in talks with another location out in San Francisco. I was in talks with Floyd Mayweather and his group and Resorts World to do one in Las Vegas. Resorts World was all in it, and obviously I was all in it. But Floyd was 1 minute, yeah, then no, then yeah, then no, and then so that just went nowhere.
He's notorious for betting $1 million on football games, so maybe there's his money right there. We just got to figure out who he's got this week, right?
We were a safer bet. Trust me on that one.
I would agree with that. I would definitely agree. Give me your location again for our viewers out there watching. They want to go down there. You've already got them excited about the burgers. They look amazing. The salads, the veggie burger, etc. How do they find you?
So I always tell people we're located at 1233 Lincoln Road, in between West Ave and Alton. And then people go, oh, well, where's that? But it's easier to say, if you know where Ceviche 105 is, we're right next door. That's it. And people always go, oh, I know where you are now, so.
All right, well, Fat Ronnie, your food, your pictures, your story, you've won me over. And I will see you in the next 7 days. I will be there, and I can't wait to try your food. It's been a pleasure talking to you. I'm Randy Kassewitz, and we will catch you next time here on The Beach Show.